Earlier this week, a former NBA player sent shockwaves through Twitter by getting James Harden's name trending with the Toronto Raptors. So, should the Raptors get involved in a trade deal involving the former MVP? Let's get into it. Welcome to MHR Sports, where we are getting very close to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody who has been pouring on the support over the last month or so. It's been a completely crazy month, so much success on the channel. Thank you so much to everybody who did click that subscribe button, who is a fan of the channel, who is joining the movement of the channel. This is just the beginning. But welcome to MHR Sports, where we talk about the Toronto Raptors 4 days a week on the channel. This week, we did a little bit of an extra video on Thursday to talk about the NBA draft. And because of all the draft hype going on, I didn't talk about this topic. James Harden involved in trade rumors with the Toronto Raptors. I finally am on this, so let's get into today's video. So if you didn't know, Channing Frye was talking on Twitter with some fans. People asked him about where James Harden was going to go in some trade talks, and he said he didn't want to get involved in those rumors, but he said the best place for James Harden would be in Toronto, because the basketball culture in the city would get him focused on basketball, allow him to take his game to the next level, and find the most success to go and win an NBA championship. And looked at it, kind of thought about it, analyzed it. Now here I'm going to make my video about it. So if the Raptors were to trade for James Harden, I think he has a point, Channing Frye, about this. Channing Frye, not like a superstar kind of basketball player, but, a good role player, was a starter throughout his career, put up over 10 points a game, just a good guy to have on your team, and sure, he probably knows a lot about basketball. Talking about James Harden here, a Raptors trade involving James Harden is kind of 8 years in the making. The Raptors almost acquired James Harden in 2012 when Brian Colangelo was in charge of making these trade deals, not Masai Ujiri. The reported offer on the table was Jonas Valanciunas, Jose Calderon, and Terrence Ross, all in exchange for James Harden. Now, looking back on it, well, hindsight is 2020, but that trade would have changed the entire trajectory of the Toronto Raptors franchise. Who knows what kind of success we would have had. I think there probably is a good amount of success if Kyle Lowry, James Harden, and DeMar DeRozan are all starting on the same team together. But whatever. We got Masai Ujiri a short time later, and, all these trade deals happen. The butterfly effect goes into the Toronto Raptors winning the 2019 NBA championship. If I could go back, I wouldn't make the trade, because who knows if they would have gotten the championship that we did get in 2019. So even though that would have been awesome to see, let's just talk about how it is in the present. James Harden is still on the Houston Rockets. Apparently, he thinks the Houston Rockets championship window is over. I completely agree. The championship window is definitely over in Houston. They trade away Chris Paul to try to make themselves better, try to shake it up, get Russell Westbrook. But Russ, for some reason, really struggled with the Houston Rockets. That team is not winning a championship, especially seeing the Lakers get even better if they add Dennis Schroeder. The Clippers looking to make moves in this offseason. The Golden State Warriors getting a dominant big in James Wiseman. The Denver Nuggets improving every year. The championship window is over for the Houston Rockets. So if he does want to go win a championship, probably the best bet is in Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn are the best team suited for trading for James Harden. They just simply have the most assets available to trade for him. The Toronto Raptors aren't quite as, spoiled with their riches that the Brooklyn Nets have. The Brooklyn Nets could trade guys like, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, and it wouldn't affect them too much. They still have some good pieces there, especially after acquiring Landry Shamet on draft night. So the Toronto Raptors, if they wanted to make a trade for James Harden, they would have to give up probably Fred VanVleet, Norman Powell, some first-round picks, maybe some prospects. There'd be a lot you'd have to trade in order to get James Harden. It would really, really destroy any sort of depth that the Toronto Raptors have. I think as far as it being the best place for James Harden just to focus on basketball, I think Channing Frye has a point. There is an insanely good basketball culture within Toronto. There's championship DNA within these players after winning just over a year ago now. I think this is definitely a great place for James Harden to play, but how good would this team be with James Harden? Well, if you did trade, let's say, one of Fred VanVleet or Kyle Lowry in order to get James Harden, if you did trade Norman Powell and any sort of first-round picks, Would that be enough? Maybe. If it did happen, the starting five would be Lowry or Fred VanVleet. I think they would rather trade VanVleet. I think the Houston Rockets would rather get Fred VanVleet. So Lowry, Harden, OG Anunoby, Siakam, and maybe Ibaka if we can afford him, but any big we can sign in free agency. Any big, really. That's a championship caliber team. No doubt, that is a championship caliber team. When you look at the starting five, that's arguably the best starting five in the NBA. The bench would be a bit of a problem, especially on the amount of money James Harden is on. So could you provide the bench there in order to make that trade and be successful over the course of that season? Because there's all these other teams like the Milwaukee Bucks making themselves even better, even though that Bogdanovich trade looks like it's going to fall through. The Bucks are doing a good job of making themselves better. The 76ers are doing some work. The Nets look scary. The Nets look scary. The Toronto Raptors are falling a little bit behind in terms of all these trades going on, because the Nets look like they're making themselves very strong and a very big contender for this next season. I wasn't sure about the Nets like a week ago, but now seeing this kind of movement they're making, I'm seeing the Nets are the real deal and probably looking at being a top 3, maybe even a top 2 seed in the East. The Raptors are lagging a little bit behind. Since the draft has happened, we know who we have. Free agency opens up soon. The Raptors do need to start making decisions about the future of their franchise. James Harden has 3 years left on his contract. If he came to Toronto, I think he would excel even further. I think Nick Nurse as a coach would get even more out of James Harden than Mike D'Antoni got. I mean, I don't think the scoring numbers would go up because I think James Harden would be more involved in a system rather than just standing in a pick and roll all the time. Obviously, the pick and rolls will still be there with the Toronto Raptors, but not like every single play like it was with the Houston Rockets, or so it seemed. I think Nick Nurse would get a lot more out of James Harden. I think he would make the Toronto Raptors better. I just don't think that the Raptors could make a feasible trade in order to acquire James Harden. So sure, it's nice speculating about this trade, but the amount that the Toronto Raptors would have to give up in order to get James Harden, the risk they would take in trying to make this trade, I think that if it's feasible, if you can make a good trade in order to acquire James Harden, obviously, you can go and do that. I think Channing Frye is right. This is the best destination for him because of the basketball culture, because of the coaching staff we have, because of the development teams we have. This would unlock, I think, a different part of James Harden in a basketball aspect if he can dial in and play for the team, play for the city. If he can do that, this team can have all the success in the world with James Harden. But can the Raptors make a feasible trade in order to acquire him? I think that the Rockets would really want to be getting Pascal Siakam in this trade. I am not trading Pascal Siakam and all these other things in order to acquire James Harden. I think this team has to have Siakam and that other star beside him to be that real championship threat. I absolutely believe that. And the Houston Rockets are going to be stubborn in these negotiations. They have no problem making an awkward situation here. They have no problem starting the season with James Harden if a real serious trade does not come through. And I think that the serious trade, because of the amount of assets the Brooklyn Nets have, because James Harden, according to Woj, has said that Brooklyn is his desired destination. It's a Showtime city, perfect for James Harden. Will he focus on basketball as much as in Toronto? No, but James Harden's happiness is on the line, and James Harden is going to look out for himself. The Houston Rockets are going to look out for the best trade. The Nets, who do have some trade bait to offer in terms of players and some picks that they can offer, are best suited to trade for James Harden. Unfortunately, I can't see a situation where the Raptors have enough to offer for James Harden. Like, just think about 2 years ago having only sent DeMar DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, when nowadays Drew Holiday is worth Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, the best three-point shooter in the league if you look at percentages, along with 3 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. The Raptors got an absolute steal in Kawhi Leonard, and that is not going to happen again. Think about how valuable James Harden would be in a trade. I think it would destroy the Raptors' current team. There would just be too much you have to trade, and it would really eliminate the future of the franchise in terms of picks. Now, I'm all for trading away your future in order to win right now, but I just don't think that they have the pieces after having traded for James Harden to win right now. Obviously, James Harden in the East would be a completely scary thing. I just don't think the Raptors are in the right position right now in order to make these kinds of trades. for that reason, I'm out. Let me know what you guys make of these James Harden rumors. Do you think Toronto would be the best place in terms of basketball for James Harden, the best place for him to focus on basketball? Also, do you think it would be wise for the Raptors to make a trade to get James Harden? I personally think we'd have to give away too much, and there's be too many variables involved, and the Raptors are not suited at the moment to make that trade. That's just my opinion. Let me know your opinion down in the comments below. But that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this. Hit the notification bell as well as stay up to date with all the Raptors content posted every week. We just hit 900 subscribers. I'm very excited to hit 1,000 subscribers very soon on the channel. It's been a great journey. Thank you to everybody who has been a part of it. If you want to join, it's not too late. We're just getting started. We are on the road to 1,000 and beyond. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.